بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Idrees Ally here, your Tajweed instructor with Quran Academy. So in our first video, we talked a lot about a lot of the difficulties and struggles that many of us are having with Quran recitation, and specifically with learning Tajweed and with reciting with proper Tajweed. You know, maybe you didn't have a chance to learn it when you were younger, how to read Quran properly. Maybe you did learn Quran, how to read Quran, but the teacher who taught you themselves wasn't well versed or well studied in proper science of Tajweed, and so you learned to recite but with an accent, right? That you're not happy with, or maybe you didn't learn correct rules, or maybe your practice of Islam is something that is more recent in your as you've grown up. You've rediscovered the beauty of Islam. You started to practice. Maybe you started learning. You started, a lot of ibadah and engaging in different community activities and so on. But there's this one thing that's bothering you, and it's your recitation, right? So we're finding that a lot of people are struggling with this. They're having these difficulties. So we talked a bit about that in the first video, about how you can change your mindset and transform the way now you approach the Quran. You have to remember that every time you sit down with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a blessing. It's an honor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has honored you to be present in the companionship of His book. Right? This is the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And once we shift our mindset, we'll realize that how much of an honor it is for us to be learning Tajweed or to be reciting the Quran, even if it's difficult for us, even if it seems kind of overwhelming at times. And that's just, it's a mindset change. Once you change your mindset, you transform your approach, and bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, this can be a new step to you learning to recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with clarity and beauty. I said in our last video, I mentioned that today in this video, I would talk about how you can improve the clarity in your recitation. Right? Improve the clarity of sound in your recitation. Now, when it comes to Tajweed, as a science, it's a big body of knowledge, right? Anything you study, if somebody wants to study chemistry or math or whatever, the science itself has its own terminology, has many different subjects it covers. Tajweed, likewise, is like this. It has many different subjects that it covers. Covers, for example, the pronunciation of letters, the characteristics of letters, specific rules. Okay, when you're reciting, you reach a noon, and the noon is followed by this. You have a noon with sukun on it. It's followed by this letter. You pronounce the noon this way. If it has this other letter after it, you read it this other way. So sometimes these rules can become a little overwhelming for us to kind of have to deal with so many rules. Inshallah, what I'm going to focus on, especially today, has to do more with just opening up your voice and focusing on the clarity of the vowel sounds. The clarity of the vowel sounds. Being the fatha. So the vowel sounds are the fatha, the dhamma, and then the kasra, right? Or zabar, zer, pesh, if you learned it that way. It's the same sound we're talking about, right? Now, the thing with these vowel sounds is that it's not as flashy as, say, like, let's learn a rule of Tajweed, right? Tajweed rules of noon, rules of meme, rules of, qalqala and things of that sort. But this is the foundation. Like, as we're reading, all we're really doing is putting these sounds to different letters, right? And that's how we get words and then sentences and so on. So the more we pay attention to these, and the more precise and clear we are with these, the more clarity we'll see in our recitation overall. So Tajweed is a science. It deals with all these different things, right? And the problem sometimes that students have is that they become overwhelmed with, oh, there's too many rules. That's why I want you to focus in this thing. Don't worry about the rules for now. Just focus on one thing at a time. Focus on trying to have clarity in the sound, and you'll see that this makes a big difference in your recitation. Actually, my approach in teaching Tajweed is that I try to simplify things as much as possible to make it accessible for a general audience. Like in any subject. I remember when I was in university, I studied physiology, human biology, physiology, and there are always these courses. For example, there's astronomy for people who are majoring in astronomy, and then there's like astronomy for a general student base, right? So somebody in the sciences can be like, hey, I just want to take a different course let me check out astronomy, but not the astronomy for astronomers, astronomy for the general audience. Or, there's math for science students and there's math for if you want to go into the math stream. So the same thing with Tajweed as a science, and this is where it can become a little bit difficult for students trying to just, hey, I just want to beautify my recitation, is that when you study Tajweed in a way that's presented, it's Tajweed for somebody who wants to become a scholar of Tajweed, then you are going to become like bogged down with a lot of terminology, a lot of like things to memorize and so on. But you don't necessarily have to go through all of that if you just want to beautify your recitation for yourself. And that's my approach in kind of presenting Tajweed. Let's simplify it. So Bismillah. The fatha is the a sound above the line or above the character. Bismillah. The sound of this is like the a sound in the word man, ban, fan, right? A. Now, of course, this is a long A sound. This is sort of like, if I had to write this in Arabic, it would be like man, right? Ban, and fan. Like there's an alif there, right? The fatha sound, of course, is short, but I'm concerned here with the shape or the quality of the sound. So it's a and not a. A, not a. Right? A, not a. So man or men. Men, not mun. Mun. Now, one thing, and this is gonna show up with all the vowel sounds, is that when we're reciting and we find that it doesn't sound that good, or I don't have that clarity in my voice, a lot of times we're dealing with like what I would call closed mouth syndrome. We're reciting like this, and we're barely moving our mouth and our tongue and our jaws. It's just kind of muffled, right? It's a muffled sort of recitation, right? If you want to get like a nice sound in your recitation, a clear sound, right? Then you have to move your jaws. Come on, let's do it together. Ooh, ooh, e. Okay, so there we have it. The three vowel sounds. There's when you study Tajweed formally, right? There are these poems you study that have the rules written in like versified, poetic format. So there's one line in a poem by Allama ibn Jazari. He's like a giant in the field of Tajweed. And he says, وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ. He's talking about Tajweed here. وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةُ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. That there is nothing between it being Tajweed, or reciting clearly, there's nothing between it and between leaving it off, except that a person exercises or makes an effort with their jaw, right? With their jaw. To really get these sounds, you have to get into it. So, man, ban, fan, right? Now what happens a lot is that people, when they're reciting, instead of a clear we're getting more of a right? Instead of a we're getting a. So instead of maliki becomes a maliki, right? Ar-Rahman, man. See, if you listen to that sound over there, man, it's like a ah sound. We want a sound. Ar-Rahman. Kasra, we want under the line, the E sound. It's an E type of sound. E and short one. So again, I'm not concerned with the quality, the length. We're talking here about the quality. So this, if we have, it's short. It's just like an E, but it's not an E. E, not E. Why does that matter? Why is this guy making such a big deal out of the vowel sounds? It's because they show up everywhere, right? If we're reciting anything, if we recite Bismillah, Bismillah, what's wrong there? Bismillah. Why doesn't it sound as good as Bismillah. It's just these things. It's literally that, and the fatha there. If I say be, e, be, me, bismillah, and again there the fatha has a little sloppy too. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Rahim. What sound is there? If I say Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, right? So I got a sound and not an e sound. Just correct the vowels. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And I know maybe you're struggling with the ha, maybe you have an issue with the ha, maybe your ra isn't that great. Again, don't worry about that right now. Focus on this. The difference here between Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim and Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You can feel that difference, and it's not the tune, it's not my voice, it's really just the quality of these things. So let's practice that a bit. Fi, fihi, right? Back to our previous example. Maliki, not malike, not malike. Try it. Maliki. E. That's the sound we want. This sound E, like be, feel, me, right? So it's that E sound and not like a sound of like, if you say 8 or 80 or, I don't know, 89 or something like that. So that's a type of sound, right? We want this E sound. Hope you're keeping that in mind and writing these things down or making some sort of note of them, right? The thing with Tajweed, again, these things are very easy for me to write on the board and you're like, yeah, it makes sense. But then the difficulty comes when you have to put it into practice, right? Because now you're trying to read and you're trying to read the way you've always read because that's kind of what you default to. It's that change. You're trying to do it a different way and that's where the struggle comes in. That's where the struggle is real, So, dhamma, the oo sound, right? So that sound we want is like ooh, right? Food, right? Mood, I don't know, like blue, right? The way you'll get this sound nicely, right, is to just round the lips. Ooh, ooh. If you don't round the lips fully, you'll get more of like an English O sound. Like, for example, the word O, like o'clock, right? 6 o'clock, right? Oh. Now, what happens if somebody's reading a word, right? Let's see, like, for example, na'budu, iyaka, na'budu. Again, maybe not the best example because some of you might be struggling with this ayin. This part, na'budu, is it na'budu? Na'budu, oh. Again, you listen to that sound there, it's oh, na'budu, iyaka na'budu. No. What we want is not this English O sound, we want to round the lips. Na-bu-du. Na-bu-du. Round the lips, and that's when you'll get that sound. Na-bu-du. Bu-du. Right? Round the lips, you'll get that sound. Otherwise, it comes out like a oh kind of sound, which we don't want. Okay? So that's it. Your fatha, dhamma, kasra. Right? Fatha, a, kasra, e, dhamma, u. And you can lengthen it or shorten it according, if it's a. But you see that this sound is the same as this sound, right? It's not it's a. E. Not e. No. E. E. And then the dhamma there. U or U. Hamza is not written like this. I'm just doing that for example here. U, 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 U. Not O, O. Right? Ulaika, ulaika. A'udhu, 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 a'udhu. Right? A'udhu. Say that. A'udhu. Round the lips all the way. A'udhu. Don't worry, maybe you're struggling with the ayn. Again, don't worry about that. We can't do everything in one video. A'udhu. Bi. Not bil. Bil. We're not talking about like, some guy Bill. No. Bi. Bil. Right? Bill Nye, the science guy or somebody. Talking about here. A'udhu. Billahi. He, not he. Billahi. Na. Not no. Minosh. Right? Minosh. That sound is nosh. No. We don't want that. Minash. Ta. Nir. Ra. Jim. So let's read that together. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Okay, we seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, mindset. When we recite and you sit down to recite Quran, Shaitan is going to come to you and try to distract you. Oh, your recitation is not that good. Oh, do you really know the rules? Oh, you're not really enjoying it. Oh, you're too tired. Maybe you should come back when you're more tired. And then you go on Facebook and you're like spending you could easily waste time doing something else. But Shaitan comes to you when you want to do something good for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaitan comes. We have to put ourselves, imagine, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine like, you're seeking refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, protect me from shaitan. Because he's coming. Especially when you're going to recite. Change your mindset. Leave a comment. Join in the community. And I look forward to joining you in our next video. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala.